You obviously know Kung Fu.
Joining me today on the Kung Fu Driving podcast, stunt woman, actress, stunt performer, stunt coordinator. You've seen her work on projects like Dark Winds, Blue Bloods, and most recently, the third season of the sweet, funny, charming Reservation Dogs. KRISTA Perrry. KRISTA, thank you so much for joining the show today.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you. You have such an interesting career. I want to get into all of it because in doing some research for you, I first came across hair and makeup, and I was like, oh, that's clearly the wrong KRISTA Perrry. But it's not. It's not. You are absolutely a one woman production studio yourself. So tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, that's my best kept secret. In the stunt industry, I just kind of, it's helped me get jobs. It's helped me understand cameras. It's helped me, help sell everything that I've done preparing actors to perform. And I just have a background as an athlete. I was really close to Olympics in swimming. And so when I got the chance to be a part of the stunt side of the business, I just kind of went full steam to that. But hair still kind of pulls me back. But coordinators and other stunt performers love having me because I can help them make the characters look exactly like they need to look. And so I'm so torn, but I'm like definitely a foot outside of that.
That's amazing, though. So take me back then to how you first got involved in entertainment to begin with. Was it something that you always wanted to do, or was it something that you knew people and you were like, just like, oh, let me give it a try?
I first started as a makeup artist, so that takes it back even farther. And I just had a passion for, bringing people to life through photo shoots, and then it just transferred into film and TV. And then I started working for production studios back in the very beginning of the creator of Reservation Dogs, Sterling Harjo. I worked for his company 10 years ago, and so he likes to bring his people with him.
Cool.
And so it's a ride that's been amazing to be a part of.
All right. So what was it about stunts that attracted you to it from the hair and makeup side of things? Was that something that always called to you, or was that again another opportunity that you just kind of hopped into?
Well, growing up, I was an athlete, and so I was sponsored by Nike and Gatorade. And so I just found that I found a better place in stunts because stunts kind of works like a team. It works very militant. Everyone helps out. Even if you're not in the spot or the big gag, you're still a part of making it something is special. And so it feels like a different side. It's almost like being a part of a sports team with inside movie making.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about your background in sports. Close to the Olympics, you said for swimming, I believe.
Oh, I trained so much since I was 8. We traveled like the whole country. That was my first thing, was swimming before school. My parents just pushed me. We would swim before school at 4 a.m, after school like 3 p.m. to 7 at night, doing cross training. And that was my passion, was just being an athlete, and then getting on those podiums, traveling, getting sponsorships. It was just, that's what my whole life was. So being a part of the film industry feels a lot of like that too, because we're from show to show, and these new goals and what we're trying to do with each production. It feels a lot like being a part of a team. And so as a kid, I just took to getting to get out of school on the weekends and fly to Seattle or something.
Was the swimming background key to helping you continue and develop in the stunts industry?
I think so, because I feel like being a part of a team as a kid really shows like what kids or what adults are a part of. We all have a discipline. And for me, it was swimming and being a part of that team and knowing what it takes to put the hours in, the training, and, being able to watch your technique. So when we pre-vis things like pre-visualization, being able to look at something and be like, whoa, that looks terrible, let's try it like this, and being able to correct yourself by watching yourself. And that's a lot like you do as an athlete, because I love filming like something. I'm like, hey, film me on this horse, I feel weird, and then it's like, oh, my feet are wrong. So it's like being able to recognize that. And I think that athletes have the upper hand in that way of recognizing their technique and changing it, versus people who maybe never had a discipline of something that's super technical.
Now, for people who don't know everything that uh, is involved with stunts, athletes definitely do have an upper hand just because of the strength that you guys possess. You know, the wear and tear that you've already put your body through to be able to withstand some of the things that stunt coordinators ask of you. But what was the first stunt that you did to get your kind of foot in the door and get involved in this industry?
So the first one I ever did was on a scary movie, and I was completely in body makeup and latex. So nobody really knew who I was, but I knew a lot of the crew. So I was kind of trying to keep it on the DL because people don't really like to see you outside of what position you're known as. And so I have to break that barrier for myself. And so my very first stunt ever was there was like a fight happening and a lot of chaos, and I broke through a door. And like, of course, it was the worst case scenario. It was the middle of the night, last take, sun's coming up, let's go. And it was great though. It was really good getting to get some action for your first take or your first opportunity, because sometimes you kind of get the gimme roles and you don't get the spots. And so it was nice to get the opportunity to like do something pretty cool.
No, that's definitely very cool. Now, from putting your health and your body on the line to trusting or asking other people to trust their health and safety and their bodies to you as a stunt coordinator, how did you make that progression?
I make sure that I have a discussion with everybody in our pre-production of what we need to do, what it takes, how to budget for what we're like. For instance, I was working on a show in Kentucky and it was a really big stair fall, and the staircase was so high pitched. Like, I'm like, this can't be anything that would be passing code now, because the stairs were just like my feet would barely go down them. So I told our producers, we're going to get 2 takes. We're going to pad the stairs. We're going to have a carpet runner going down. We're going to pad the sides. And everyone was working together, like the art department, producers were on board. I said, the more takes you take after this, because I know this person's going to nail it, you'll have to pay them more money. And so
Mm.
that's kind of how you just have to be able to convey what it is you need to keep your performers safe, along with giving the realistic, like producers are like, well, come on. But it's like, you get 2, we're going to get this right so that we don't put anybody in harm's way.
Sure, sure. You mentioned breaking barriers before. I talked to a lot of stunt coordinators, fight choreographers and coordinators on the show. Predominantly a male-dominated industry. I have not been able to talk to a lot of female stunt coordinators. What is it like for you as one of the few female stunt coordinators in the industry? Um, do you do you face any challenges, or is it a supportive environment, or what's it like for you in a field that is so heavily dominated by men?
I feel like I've been very lucky to have amazing mentors in my back pocket that I can call at any time. And so I feel kind of, I don't want to say protected, but I feel like people respect me for who I'm, learning under and the knowledge that I'm gaining. And so I've been very fortunate to not feel too much that way. And I think that once I start talking about what we're going to do and I run the safety meetings and I let people know that I know what's going on or I ask the right questions, I just think it has a lot to do with not stepping into a job that you're not ready for. You know what I mean? Or with the right people that are on your team to handle it. So I've been very lucky to feel really confident in everything that I've been faced with. And I think that a lot of it has to do with our pre-production meetings and discussing what we need. And, if I need to call someone or connecting with that AD with, hey, this is my mentor. And they're like, oh my goodness, like that's amazing. And then they instantly like, oh, okay. So it's just about the networking and, that whole aspect. And my fiance is also a stunt coordinator too. And we work a lot together. So
Nice, nice. Well, also that the discipline of being prepared as an athlete, I'm sure, helps with all of that stuff as well.
yeah.
So, speaking of your mentors, who would you credit as some of your mentors in the industry? I mean, I've talked with a lot of great people in the industry. Who are the ones that you have kind of leaned on to help you keep learning and keep advancing?
I would definitely say Cole McKay. He He's been amazing. He's opened the door for me so much. In the beginning, he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna help you prep this, and I'm turning it over to you." And I'm like, "What?" And so that's been, it's so crazy to think back to how long ago that has been, and how amazing he has, changed the course of my career. And he had like most car turnovers. I think it was like over 150 in the 90s. And so he's just very like, how would I say, very down and dirty with his stunts work. And he's knows how to chat with his producers, and just kind of observing him, and getting to have his ear on everything. He's done everything. Like there's nothing he hasn't done. So he
What
would be one of my top ones.
what's harder for you as a stunt coordinator? Getting the actors on board with what you're asking of them in terms of particular scenes, or or having to have those discussions with producers and directors and trying to get them to buy in.
I think it's more of like the scripts sometimes are very ambitious. And so when we're talking about, like, when I break a script down, I say, okay, so here's what we have, here's what the budget would be. What is it that you're really wanting? Because sometimes, there are budget constraints on projects I work on. And so if they want to put everything into this particular, stunt, then we'll go for that. And sometimes people I don't think they understand how much goes into it. And so the actors are always down, but you have to be careful with that as well. I was working on
Sure.
a fight in Kentucky, and this actress wanted to be hit in the face with breakaway glass. And I was like, well, what happens if it's an eyeball? Like, we have a stunt performer for this. We'll work you in when we can, but we're not smashing you in the face with this, because you still have to work. And so I feel like you have to find that balance and, approach people with solutions, and answer their questions of, this is how we can make it happen, but it's not going to work this way. But not
Yeah,
just saying, nobody wants to hear no.
of course.
Yeah.
But you're a problem solver, so I'm sure that you're
Yeah.
juggling that all the time.
Definitely. I'm always thinking 3 steps ahead of what can go wrong. And I don't think that's negative. I think that's being prepared.
Of course, of course, of course. Yeah. Now, with something like Reservation Dogs, when people think of stunts, some of the first things they'll think about are like, bridges exploding, motorcycle jumps, and things like that. But being a stunt coordinator encompasses so many different types of stunts. What is the majority of the stunt work that you're doing with something like Reservation Dogs, which is a little quieter production, I think?
Yeah, we did a lot of actor action, and it's a lot of comedy and timing. So we got to work a lot with taking comedy and putting some action to it, and then having the actor sell it. Our very opening day of filming, we did have a huge like horse sequence that had to be pre-casted with actors who could speak Spain Spanish. They're conquistadors, along with ride a horse, hit marks, work with our actor, have good horses. So I mean, there is a lot to it. When sometimes you don't see this big battle, it still can be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
very, very intense. But yeah, that depends. Like for that show, it's very comedy driven. So comedy action.
Although you do get beheaded in a scene.
That is true. That he was doing VR.
Yeah, it was a great little scene there. But when you're dealing with something like horses and actors, how difficult is that to wrangle? Because I mean, horses probably don't take instruction as well as actors, but maybe they do. I don't know. Talk to me about that.
Well, with horses, they can be unpredictable, but you really want to work with wranglers that have great horses. And we had a wrangler that had some good horses, and making sure the actor like make it. When I'm in prep for that, I make sure that I'm watching them ride the horses bareback. Are the horses comfortable with that? Does the actor's jacket touch the back? Is it going to spook the horse? There's a lot of factors to like a character, if like costumes, if it just slaps them, it could freak them out and then they go running off. But a lot of that is your preparation with your wranglers and making sure that their horses can handle. So in a rehearsal, we'll see days before if we need to swap something out, but that's not technically my call. That's a different department, but we all work together to make it happen. Horses can be really unpredictable, and they are definitely the most dangerous stunts on a set.
Okay, okay, fair enough. when I was doing the research on you, like I said at the top, that you are pretty much a one woman production studio, because I've seen credits for acting, credits for stunt coordination, credits for stunts themselves. I think you've done some stunt driving, but then you've also done intimacy coordination. What is the next step for you as a professional in the industry, given that you have so much of this in your background already?
I would love to work under other amazing stunt coordinators and learn as much as I can. I mean, the business is changing. During the strike, my fiance and I went to a car crashing clinic, which was insane. And the instructor mentioned that car crashing and people in the industry, it's kind of a dying art. And so, like, being able to learn how to pull off these, things that I wouldn't feel comfortable coordinating yet.
Sure, sure.
Learn those coordinators that are willing to teach and bring that knowledge to the future and what the future brings for the industry.
Ooh, talk to me a little bit about that because, like you said, the industry is changing. The Some of the big tentpole movies in the environment there that are out now are produced and directed by stunt guys. We got John Wick and all of those kinds of films. Is that something that you think you might be leaning towards, given that the industry is starting to recognize a little bit more the talent that some of these quote unquote just stunt guys have?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to direct second unit once, which isn't credited on there because it was cut from a take or from the show. But I was in a room and I'm like, what do I do? So I called an amazing stunt coordinator director and he's like, this is what you do. And so I put together this little action sequence. And a part of me was like, wow, I love this, but I need to grow before I can get there. And that's what, for me, I don't like the fake it till you make it. That does not work in our industry at all. And so I'm
Yeah,
all about learning, training, and taking it with me. And every experience I learn something new, I always take it with me. I'm always paying attention. I'm always watching. That's why I like to work under other people too. I've just been very fortunate to be in the driver's seat of projects. But for me, I would completely love, co-coordinating or working as an assistant under someone else, or even just performing and just being able to watch bigger and badder stunts.
sure, sure. So if you had the magic budget and you had access to anybody and everybody that you could work with, what would be a dream project that you think you would want to bring to life?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I do love a Western. Westerns are pretty great, but that's hard. I'm not really sure. So, wouldn't it be cool to see some car work with horse work, kind of like in John Wick, or even
Yeah,
the show I worked on? My fiance put together awesome little stunts with some cars and horses because that's just, you don't see that often. But
that'd be
I think
great.
that's something in the, like, the bar fights through the windows on the second story balcony coming down. That's the best.
That's awesome. All right, then where can the audience find out more about what you have going on? Where's your socials? Drop them all here so they can follow you.
My Instagram is Krista MC Perry. So I guess it's at Krista MC Perry, and then that's kind of where I put all my stuff is on there.
Awesome. So what do you have coming up that you can talk about?
Um, we're about to go work on a project this summer, or I guess like next month. It'll be in Montana. We have an awesome little gig we do called the Tall Tales of Jim Bridger. So we get to put together some reenactment stuff with Native Americans and like cavalry, and Jim Bridger's always getting in some trouble. So we're gonna be working on that for some of the summer. And then we have a few things I'm talking about with my reservation dogs people. They have a new project coming out, so we'll see.
That's awesome. Congratulations on the success of Reservation Dogs, and best of luck with all of the project you have going on. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about all of your work, and continued success to you. And we hope to see much more of your work in the coming future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Poison Clan rocks the world.